Hello, listening people.
Hello.
You're listening to Spin Polish Presents Unappreciated Masterpieces. I'm Ryan Sliwinski.
And I'm Bartek. My middle name is Piotr.
Oh, there you go. That solved that mystery for anyone who is wondering out there. Why are we called Spin Polish, I hear you ask? It's likely because we're always spitting, and we both happen to be Polish. Isn't that right, Bartek?
Yep.
And what do we do on Unappreciated Masterpieces, the show that we're currently doing right now?
The show that we are doing right now is the show in which we find movies that have either lost what they once had, their popularity, their relevance to the world, or their appeal to the world, or have never had it before. We want to find these movies, talk about why they deserve to be remembered from now on, and what's good about them, how they have impacted the world in ways that you might not have thought of.
That's exactly right. We find those unappreciated masterpieces. And Bartek, what is the cinematic classic, the unappreciated masterpiece that we are going to be diving into today?
This is one that we've all heard of, guys. We are doing Czarownica. From 2005.
Oh, that narrowed it down.
Yeah.
Look, I know the year 2005, but I don't speak Polish, so I don't know. What is 2005 in Polish?
I'm not entirely sure what 1000 is, but 2 is dwa and 5 is pięć.
So is that how you would say the year, or would they be like 20?
They would say something like 2 and then whatever the word for 1000 is, and then say the word 5.
So we're learning here today, guys. But what is the movie? I don't know. I don't speak Polish. What's the movie we're watching?
Come on, Ryan. Czarownica is clearly I Dream of Bewitched.
I Dream of Bewitched. Is that what it actually means?
No, it's Bewitched.
Oh, we're watching Bewitched? The 2005 classic with Nicole Kidman, Will Ferrell, Steve Carell, Michael Caine, Shirley MacLaine, and others, even Stephen Colbert, who is now the Tonight Show host. That cinematic classic from 2005.
Yeah.
Oh, I really was hoping that you were going to lead in and be like, no, we're watching the entire TV series from the 1960s from back to back. No, we are watching the 2005 classic Bewitched. So, Bartek, before we actually do begin, here's the big question that's got to be asked. Where's our guest? Do we have a guest?
Let me just look at my pocket. Nope.
No?
The other pocket? Nope.
Let me look for all the fucks I give? No. We don't have a guest this time round. What's the story with that? Well, we originally were going to have a guest, and they were a witch, and, we said to them, look, it would be great if we could actually get a witch onto the show, but they found out. I'm not going to name any names, but this witch found out that we were going to do Bewitched, the film. We didn't tell them at first, and apparently Bewitched, the film, is heresy in witch world. They just can't watch it. It's not allowed, so that's why our guest isn't on.
Yeah, so we feel a level of sympathy, but we're also a little bit, kind of... It's a shame that of all the movies we could have picked, we picked this one.
Who would have thought that our trickery would have been foiled by witchery?
Do they find Harold Potter to be, like...
Oh, well, don't even begin. They're wizards. That's different. I mean, there are witches in there, but they're not
That
prominent.
is true. Even Michael Caine in this movie
Don't
says
get me started about muggles. So, we are going to do the classic Bewitched. So, get your copy prepared. I imagine you all have a legal copy of Bewitched. Yes, our copy of Bewitched is a magical copy in which, for some magical reason, when we watched it, when Bartek watched a different copy of his, and I've watched mine, somehow both of them have replaced certain words with German.
Yeah.
The written words, but not like... not the actors' names, just the title of the movie and some visual jokes that rely on words.
Yeah, so at the start of the movie, there's gonna be like a sign that says like "for sale" or something, and it was all in.
And
German
believe it or
first.
not, Bartek does not speak German. I
don't-
know, it's a shock.
I don't speak it, don't read it, don't write it, don't know it.
So that's tough. So get your copy prepared, guys, because you are about to be spellbound by this cinematic. Well, usually I say classic, but this is just magic. Magic caught on film. So we're going to start this in 3, 2, 1, play. So, Bartek, the real big question that one has to ask when watching a movie of this caliber and this nature is, have you ever been, or have you ever just watched the original source material of Bewitched?
Yeah, before I talk about that, when I was a teenager, I was really into that 70s show, and often that 70s show would make references to a bunch of TV shows from around that time. So I would often, in my spare time, just randomly watch some episodes of shows they've mentioned, and Bewitched was one that I watched a couple of episodes of, along with like I Dream of Jeannie, and I think I saw one episode of Gilligan's Island. Most of the episodes that I saw were of the Dick Sargent, the later ones.
Oh, you saw the later. Okay.
Yeah, but at one point I thought, how did the first episode go? And when I watched it, there was like it was a different guy, and I was like, what the hell? Why does this guy look more dorky than the other one?
Well, that's the thing. Dick York was the original, and then it was Dick Sargent. And, you know, Dick York, I think from my vaguest of memories, and this does answer the question, yes, I used to watch Bewitched as well. Dick York, I think, had a severe back injury, and he just couldn't do it anymore, and they replaced him with Dick Sargent, and they look somewhat alike, and people just kind of got used to it. Personally, I'm more of a Dick York man. I like the fact that Dick York is kind of unconventionally attractive, yet still conventionally attractive. Like, he still has that kind of 1950s short, slicked hair kind of, you know, man in a suit kind of average looking guy, but also he just has a doofus head on him, and he just had great comedic timing. Dick Sargent's pretty good as well, but he's no Dick York.
The thought's always been in the back of my head all these years. He's like, why did they change it? I just never bothered to look it up, and then I went on Wikipedia last night, I'm like, oh, he actually like didn't want to leave. He was too injured to keep going.
Yeah. I mean, you know, that's the tragic thing. So, did you like Bewitched? That's the question.
Which one?
The original TV show.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
I did too. I was a big fan of Bewitched. You know, I watched Bewitched. It was on TV quite a lot. And it is a show that is worth looking at. It is dated. It is formulaic. But it is interesting at the same time. And, you know, what I think this movie does different compared to the show, there's many things it does different. And this movie does tackle this issue, which was in the show, the secondary and ensemble cast characters were the thing that made the show. Like, Samantha and Darren were okay, but their whole thing is they're trying to maintain balance and order while you're watching the relatives and all that be crazy and kooky with magic and stuff. And it's like you're more in this whole weird magic stuff than suburban life.
Yeah.
And this film kind of does the opposite by making the two central characters the far more interesting characters, and kind of the secondary characters, you know, secondary. It's very interesting.
Well, yeah, and this movie is very... Oh, this is in English for us.
Yeah,
so
for me.
So when I saw this, I was like, okay, I get it anymore. But certainly this movie is very clever in that all these years I'd been aware that this movie existed. Yeah, but it wasn't until you said that we would probably do it on the show at some point that I actually looked it up, and I found that it was about some people making a remake of Bewitched.
Yes, that's okay. Now, you've hit the nail on the head there.
Yeah.
Okay, so neither of us had watched this movie before doing it for the show, correct?
Correct.
You had never watched it? I never watched
last
it either.
night.
Okay, I remember seeing the trailers. I remember vaguely that it's like, oh, this is Bewitched.
Oh, shit,
but...
you asked me to watch a trailer and I forgot.
You didn't, you bastard. So, they, you know, in my vague memories, I remembered, oh, there is a Bewitched movie with Nicole Kidman, but it's not Bewitched. They're making Bewitched. But here was the thing, okay? Here's my thing. For years, I have asked people who have seen this movie to answer several questions that I had, which were very complex questions. My thing was, it's like, okay, so is she Samantha? Like, I didn't know if she just happened to be a woman who was a witch who just happened to get the role of Samantha. Like, I didn't know, like, because this movie still doesn't answer questions. Certain relatives in the TV show are her relatives in this world. Like, Aunt Clara is in it, but she's not Aunt Clara. And Michael Caine doesn't exist in the TV show. Like, in the TV show, but he's like a god, and you rarely see him, and he's omnipotent and great, and an asshole. But in this, I was very confused. My main question was like, okay, so is it that they're remaking Bewitched, and they just happen to cast the people who are the real life Bewitched characters? Like, not the real life Darren, but like the real life Samantha, the real life, Endora, the real life Uncle Arthur, all that stuff. And you know what? After watching this, I still don't know the answer to that question.
I would have been fine just thinking, oh yeah, it just happens to be that this show Bewitched exists in a world where there is witches and this family just happens to have a lot of similarities. But then
their names.
Yeah, but then it's Steve Carell that really gets me.
Okay, no, we'll get to Steve Carell.
I know it's super early, but
we'll get to Steve Carell. So this movie, it is a very interesting take, don't you think, Bartek, on how to do a new version of Bewitched in film. You know, like, if I just said to you, hey, Bartek, you know there's a film version of Bewitched with Nicole Kidman, you'd immediately think, oh, okay, so it's like Bewitched, but with new actors playing the roles.
Yeah,
I think it's very ballsy for them to do it in this imaginative way.
I know, I thought it's clever. It, like, gets rid of all those criticisms that you typically have of remakes, where it's like, well, why are you just doing the same thing again when the first thing was so good?
Exactly. And you know what I liked a lot of things about this movie, but you know what I loved? The star swipes at the beginning of the movie for the opening credits. Every time an actor's name would come up, it was like a series of stars would just swipe across the screen. I just love the fact that this is such a 2000s movie. Like, it's doing this 1960s show. Well, here's the thing. In this movie, they make the show, right? They make the show, and it's exactly like the 1960s show. Do we ever find out in this movie if the show that they do make actually is a hit show in this timeline universe? Like, I know we get the ratings of her. She gets like 99, he gets like less than a dog. But does the show itself actually succeed?
That is a big question, because over the course of this movie, I'm not sure about the epilogue, but only apparently 2 episodes have been made.
Yeah, right.
So we don't know how the rest of the show goes. Like, obviously, with the lessons these characters learn, they might go into a better direction. Like, not just focusing on Jack Wyatt's character as Darren. But yeah, it's kind of left up to our imagination.
Fun fact.
Yeah.
These 2 executives, one of them is Stephen Colbert. He's the big name now, and he was big name then too. The other guy, when it first opened this scene and it was panning towards the pool, I actually screamed out loud, "Oh, for Christ's sakes, Conan O'Brien's in this!" And then I looked at him like, "Oh, I'm sorry, is it William H. Macy?" And I'm wrong on both counts. It's not even Conan or William H. Macy. It's their son, I imagine, because he looks like both of them. And then later in the movie, Conan O'Brien appears. I was on the floor going, no, how did I know? I guess I'm a witch.
What? Where's my branch?
That's the appropriate reaction to a witch. Okay, so there's a lot of names in this.
Yeah.
And this is 2005, so it's a very different time for these actors as well. So you got to consider Nicole Kidman's on the... I guess she's still respected. She's still liked. Not saying that she isn't now, but Nicole Kidman's not in very much at the moment. You know what I mean? Like, this is... Nicole Kidman was doing movies. That's what I mean by this point. Jason Schwartzman's in this, and he is a Wes Anderson regular, so it's kind of like, oh, Wes Anderson let you off the chain for once, did he? And we got Will Ferrell. Now, this is a very weird time for Will Ferrell, because Will Ferrell is kind of, in movie terms, coming into his own. He's already done Mugatu and Zoolander, and that was a secondary character. And he's already done, like, Starsky and Hutch and, and a few other, like, Ron Burgundy comedy roles, but not like a movie like this. Would you agree? Where I would say, like, a romantic comedy. Like, probably, but, like, this is probably one of his most, at this time, would have been his highest profile job.
I definitely can't say that I've ever seen Will Ferrell in this type of main character role. Like, yeah, not even Step Brothers. Like, he gets with a good, but that's like not really the main point of that movie. This one is a romantic comedy, I suppose you could say.
I've seen him in romantic comedies per se, like Stranger Than Fiction is technically one, but like this is probably his most, especially at this point, his most like his biggest, most serious kind of movie to do. Like in terms of box office, in terms of blockbusting, being in the Bewitched remake is a pretty big deal. So, there's him. Michael Caine is in this. I don't know why, but he is. They specifically wrote the part for him according to the IMDb
he's one
trivia.
of the two that the trivia said that on.
God, does this guy not look like Conan O'Brien / William H. Macy's, like, deformed son?
See what? I was squinting a little bit at one point when he was on screen. I thought it was Robin Williams for a second.
Holy shit. So, can we please... Okay, I'm already going here. So, in the trivia, my favourite piece of trivia involves Robin Williams. Okay, so Bewitched...
right.
Did you read this?
I remember him mentioned.
Bewitched was obviously a property that had been in the pipeline for ages to do a redoing of. There had been many times... there was going to be a version with Melanie Griffith, but the person behind that died of an aneurysm or something. But my favourite one, according to the trivia, is the Penny Marshall one, who did produce this. Was the 1993, where her cast was going to have Meryl Streep as Samantha, which seems obvious, but here's where it gets great.
Yeah.
This is like a movie we would come up with. I mean, seriously. Barry Humphries, not as Barry Humphries playing a character, but Barry Humphries as Dame Edna Everage playing Endora. So not like
multi-layered acting.
So in the movie when it would be like not Endora, it would be Dame Edna. So Dame Edna playing Endora, who's a fictional character. Dame Edna, she's not real. Like and then you have like Robin Williams as Uncle Arthur, which obviously seems like a brilliant idea. He was one of the great comedic actors, especially during the 90s. But then, have Shelley Winters as Gladys, and then this is the one that killed me. This killed me. As much as Dave Edna killed me, the idea of Jerry Seinfeld and Billy Crystal playing Darren Stevens, and then alternating during certain scenes just because the actors changed as well, that gets me.
Yeah, I thought that was funny too.
No, we just missed a scene in here that was what I wrote in my notes as, a joke. Because this movie so far has not been a comedy. It's been more very serious. There was a joke where she's watching the TV and there's a guy telling her to get a job. And he's just like, do you have... I don't know, for some reason it just got me. The way that they interact. It's like, do you have low self-esteem? My self-esteem is pretty low. And just... the guy, like, responds to that. Like, it's TV.
It reminded me of that Simpsons episode where, like, Homer wanted to gamble or something, and the guy goes, hey, you want some of this? And he's, like, showing money, and Homer's like, yes, yes, yes.
So, this is the thing, Bartek. Here's a question I've really got to ask.
Ask it, dude.
Now, hold my hand. This is an intense question. Where is Nicole Kidman's character from?
Doesn't she also not know the answer to that?
What country is she supposed to be from?
I'll
get it down for you, okay?
Oh, you know the answer?
No, I'll narrow it down for you a bit.
Uh-huh.
What accent is her accent in this movie, especially during the first half of the movie? Because Nicole Kidman's Australian, but she's not doing an Australian accent in this. But she's not doing an American accent either. What accent was her accent during this movie? It's a dynamic thing. You know, this is why this is a cinematic classic. Bartek has just watched the movie last night. He's still wondering what her accent was. That is what you call an A-grade performer. She is an Oscar winner, I do believe, or an Oscar nominee. And
No, she won.
She won, yeah. And we don't know her accent. Now, Bartek, what accent or country are all of her relatives from that we meet in the movie? All two of them.
Well, Michael Caine's British.
Yes.
England.
And Aunt Clara
And Aunt Clara, yeah.
is English too.
Yep.
I gave this thought overnight, and I've been doing it all day. I think Nicole Kidman's supposed to be English.
So it's kind of like that wedding date kind of thing where she's like, what was the main actress' name in that?
Deborah Messing.
Deborah Messing. She like went to America and her accent was kind of just...
Yeah, but her voice... Nicole Kidman, I shit you not, this is how good the movie is. I think there was witchery in this, because I actually said
There was what?
witchcraft.
Oh.
Witchery, if you want. Trickery. I actually thought for 20 minutes that wasn't actually Nicole Kidman's voice and someone was dubbing over her. Because I've heard Nicole Kidman in a lot of movies, and for some reason her voice in this one just didn't sound like her. It was very like, I don't know, I can't really do a good impersonation of it, but it is very kind of squeaky. Like, oh my, I'm a witch! Oh no, I'm a witch!
Yeah, it wasn't...
It's kind of a squeaky, lispy thing going on, and I'm like, where's Nicole Kidman in this? Like, I know she's there, I can see her, but where's the voice coming from? So that was a big thing that got me. Bartek,
Yeah?
when you watched this,
Yeah.
you had a vague idea of what it was about. Did it meet everything that you wanted?
You know what? I think it did. Because, like I've already established, I wasn't too familiar with Bewitched apart from sometime last decade when I watched a little bit of it. And I'm not lying when I say that this movie's definitely raised my interest, and at some point in the future, if I ever have the chance to watch through more episodes, I would definitely be all for it because of this movie.
Well, that's a great thing. That's what the movie... That's why I get annoyed when this is an unappreciated masterpiece, because it is a movie that is so good. It is so amazing. It is so multi-layered that it actually enriches your experience to the point in which you want to go back to the source material it's based on. I mean, that's the best kind of remake, redoing, reimagining, whatever. The kind that makes you enjoy it, but also want to investigate its origins.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think it does a better job than Starsky and Hutch in that sense. Like,
Oh, I don't know. They're all great.
Starsky and Hutch was great, but I don't know if I was as interested
Both
in
of
going
them
back.
had Will Ferrell.
Both of them did have Will Ferrell.
Hey,
Hey?
how many movies has Will Ferrell been in that have been rebooted from 1960s, 70s TV shows? I wonder. Wait, he was in Land of the Lost as well.
Yeah.
Oh my god, is this like the secret Will Ferrell film series where it's like Will Ferrell stars in movies that are from TV shows that you kind of liked from way back when that are still kind of relevant in today's pop culture?
Maybe it's because in last decade, he was such a noteworthy comedic actor that was in so many crazy things. They said, how better to get a modern touch on these old properties than with Will Ferrell?
I just can't wait for him to be in the I Dream of Jeannie movie as the genie.
As the genie. And which woman will play Major Nelson?
Well, obviously it will be like Sarah Silverman or something. And she'll be like,
She's a modern comedian.
She'll be like, Janie. I can't do her voice, but you know, she's very, very annoying. Or another good choice would be Dame Edna Everett.
Okay, yeah, that's a great idea.
I mean, for fuck's sake.
But like,
Who thought of that? I don't know why that one didn't get off the ground. I mean, really, could you imagine watching that 1993 version of Bewitched where Jerry Seinfeld's in one scene, and then the next one is Billy Crystal, and then Jerry Seinfeld again, and they're the same character, and it would just be like, this is how I imagined it. It would be like, you know, it would be like the show where she's doing magic, and it would be like Billy Crystal's like, Samantha, don't do magic, you promised. And she'll be like, well, okay, I won't. And then the next scene, she's doing magic. She's like, set the house on fire. And Jerry will walk in and he'll walk in through the door like he does on like how they do in Seinfeld. And he will pause, look around with his arms in the air and just be like, what's the deal with witchcraft? What did you do? What's the deal with witchcraft? And then she'll be like, well, and then Dame Edna Everage will come in and she'll be like, Jerry, and he's like, no, I'm Darren. Oh, sorry, Billy, and it'll just be like a mix-up. It'll be great, and it'll be Dame Edna. I mean, what is this movie? And I just love the idea that Robin Williams is just somehow attached. I mean, a movie's crazy enough with Robin Williams, but with Dame Edna Everage and Jerry Seinfeld being Billy Crystal being Jerry Seinfeld being Darren, oh my god, it would be great.
Look, one of them's already dead. We need to get really high up in Hollywood and make this happen before more of them go.
Yes, that's right. Instead of having Robin Williams, we should, as Uncle... Okay, real talk.
Yep.
Real talk. Did you like have you ever seen Uncle Arthur in the Bewitched show? Do you know Paul Lynn?
It's... Like I said, it's been a long time. He might have been in some of the episodes. I saw him when they were watching him in this movie.
Yeah, Uncle Arthur is cheeky.
Yeah, and you've mentioned him on this show before.
He's one of my favourites, and he has an iconic laugh. I can't really do it because it is so iconic, but it's that kind of like a Cheshire Cat kind of laugh, like a
Did Steve Carell do it in this movie?
Steve Carell did his Steve Carell laugh, and you know what I mean by that? Steve Carell has a very distinct laugh himself, so he just did his laugh, which... To be honest, I kind of appreciate the fact that he's willing to tackle being Uncle Arthur with the whole, I'm Uncle Arthur, but the laugh he didn't do. He did his own. I think I appreciate that on a large level because it's like, okay, he obviously can't do the laugh. There's no point trying to do it. You might as well do your own iconic laugh. Mm-hmm. I appreciate that, but in my mind, if you told me Steve Carell's being Uncle Arthur, I'm like, oh, that's all right. But you know what I deep down think? I think there's some better options for Uncle Arthur. In this movie, you know, I wouldn't even choose Ron Williams. I would have chosen, to be real, John Lovitz. Do you know John Lovitz?
Was he in Dickie Roberts, the agent? Was that him?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's Jay Sherman in The Simpsons. I'd love John Lovitz as Uncle Arthur because he's always over the top. He's already John Lovitz. Or Jack from Will and Grace, the super gay friend in Will and Grace. Mm-hmm. Them two would have been my picks for Uncle Arthur. If you're like, oh, Ryan, we're going to do Uncle Arthur, Steve Carell wouldn't have been on my radar. But boy, is this film... See, this is why this is one of the greatest films ever made. It's just these aspects such as, hey, why don't we get Kristin Chenoweth in this to just jump up and down excitedly for some reason, and then in 2 scenes later, she wants to kill Will Ferrell.
Wait, wasn't that the other woman?
Oh, no, she wanted to do that too.
Okay.
Don't worry, the other woman, we'll get on to her. I don't even remember her name, but all I remember was she wanted to kill him in various fashions.
Oh, yeah, it started with, like, bullying, and then it just moved on to...
And we don't even know what her grudge is against. Like, other than she likes Nicole Kidman.
Yeah, like...
It's like,
the
I like
unity
Nicole...
of women?
Yeah, that's got it. Nailed it.
Like,
Unity of women.
Wasn't there a movie like a year or two ago that was about like
guy the other
cheated?
woman? Yeah, I know whatever. Cameron Diaz. It's on the list. Don't worry.
Oh, is it?
Of course, every Cameron Diaz movie's on the list.
I'd only seen the trailer, so I was kind of just like
Cameron Diaz.
Yes.
Have you seen? There's an interview with Cameron Diaz. It's so good.
Yeah.
It's like they're showing Shrek 2. Yeah. They're showing that scene where the giant gingerbread man's storming the castle.
Oh, yep.
And it's like got her head in a bubble over that scene, like in the top left corner. They're interviewing her, and she goes, oh yeah, she's like, the special effects in this movie, they're spookily realistic. I mean, it's so scary how close to real life it looks.
What, giant gingerbread man terrorizing?
And the scene they show, and the fact you say that about Shrek at all, like, it's so scarily real. So Bartek, did you have a favourite character in the TV show Bewitched out of your recollections?
Well, really, the only characters that I remember are Darren, Samantha, and Endora. All the others are kind of blurry in my head, so it's really hard to say. I don't know, really. It would be one of those three.
Well, you gotta pick. It's a life or death situation. There's a cat on the line, and I know you like cats.
Oh, I'm a huge cat
He
fan.
waters them daily.
Yes, I do. My favorite character from this movie, obviously the cat would be an easy option, so I picked a human as well. I'll get to that later. I don't know, maybe Darren?
Darren's a good choice. According to this movie, everyone hates Darren,
Yeah,
which I didn't know was a thing.
And apparently nobody noticed when the actor...
Well, that is the typical thing that everyone says is, like, because they do look very much alike, and they're both called Dick York, Dick Sargent. And when they do the little cartoon openings, there's very little difference between the illustrations of Dick York and Dick Sargent.
Do you think that it was a shame that Will Ferrell's character didn't have a penis-type first name, just to, fit the...
That
theme?
is actually true. It would have been great if his name was...
Like Willie or something.
Oh, well, he was in a movie, in this movie called, what was it? Onion Willie or something, the boxing movie. You remember that?
Oh, yeah.
She's like flicking through the TVs with the magic, and there's just like there's the Roman one,
There's
like
Vietnam, Roman, boxing, and
they all had great
Everest.
names. Like the Roman one was like Romanus Rex or something, and then the one who was like, and the fight of Onion Willie, and it's like, what?
While we're on this topic, do you want me to read a trivia question related to his career?
Yes, tell me about the career of Jack White.
Okay, so this was one of the questions from one of the 2 quizzes that I did. Jack White, played by Will Ferrell, was talked into doing the show to try and save a failing acting career. What was the name of the film that was frequently referred to as his big flop? Do you remember the answer?
They say it like a gajillion times.
Yeah, the answer is Last Year in Kathmandu.
Oh, yeah. Last year in Kathmandu.
and-
Shot in timing in black and white.
Yes, and there were 3 other answers that were, I think they're just original names that, like, the quiz person came up with.
I hope.
So, one of them was Genghis in Love,
That is so good.
Finding Utopia,
that would also be good.
and the last one is Summer Vacation in Atlantis.
Oh, okay. I like it.
Yeah,
That's-
it's not super funny, but, like, the guy got creative.
Well, he's kind of doing rips on like already established things, such as Road to Utopia is a movie of the Road to series, and the Vacation movies with Chevy Chase, which have been discussed, would maybe that Summer Vacation one. It's kind of neat. I don't know. Genghis and what was it?
Genghis in Love.
Oh,
Oh, so it's like Shakespeare in Love, I see.
yeah, which beat Saving Private Ryan. But that's for another day. Hey, do you think we'll ever do an unappreciated masterpiece that's won an Oscar?
I hope so.
Like Shakespeare in Love?
I
hate Shakespeare in
My
Love.
mum said that she really didn't like it either.
It beat Saving Private Ryan,
Which I've
believe.
heard good things about, yeah.
Oh, fuck. You haven't watched it? Paul Giamatti's in it.
I know, he talked about this in an episode once.
So, a lot of things are happening in the movie. Will Ferrell is an egotistical actor, but here's the twist that I didn't expect. Now, Bartek, you didn't watch the trailer like I asked you to.
I
But
regret it.
in the trailers, and in my general perception of the movie...
I did read trivia that, like, certain things in the trailers were left out.
Well, in my perception of the movie, before watching it, I thought Will Ferrell was this egotistical asshole who's pushing her aside, blah, blah. Like the movie does kind of do. But here's the thing that I didn't know. He's actually a nice guy. And it's his manager who's the dick.
Yeah, the Cruise looking guy.
Yeah, Jason Schwartzman, yeah. Oh, thank you for bringing up the devil himself, Tom Cruise. Honestly believe that if Nicole Kidman and Tom Cruise were still married at this point, and had a long relationship if they were still married, this would have been a movie where Tom Cruise was Jack White and she was still like whatever. Because honestly, the character I could see Tom Cruise playing, this egotistical asshole actor who's washed up, trying to get back to his roots or whatever, but he's still a dick, and Nicole Kidman's love interest. I mean, really though, I could see that. And he's an actor that is willing, Tom Cruise, I don't know, he's an actor who's willing to kind of make fun of himself.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, definitely. Watch out. That William H. Macy motherfucker. Sorry, just thinking about him still. He's looking at me and I'm like, I wish I looked up the actor to see if he was somehow related to Conan O'Brien. But, Bartek, this movie was an emotional roller coaster. The one thing I kept writing a lot during my notes when watching this was tone. Tone. The tone of the movie, he sets this apart from other normal, considered appreciated movies, because this movie has a roller coaster ride of tone. You go through ups and downs and sideways and inside out. It is an amazing movie for tone. It has like 15 different tones happening at once, and I loved it. What did you think of the overall feeling and tone of this movie?
Yeah, it did change a lot. Certainly in this beginning part of the movie, we haven't yet hit the part where Isabel starts feeling betrayed, I guess.
Oh, betrayed.
Like, honestly, at this point, I did notice, obviously, that Jack's character was a big focus of the movie, but I didn't actually notice that she didn't have any lines.
Yeah, it's very smart.
Yeah.
Did you expect the plot twist of Iris?
Of the Indoor actress being a witch?
Yes.
Not really, and it didn't really play into too much.
Well,
beyond some jokes, right?
Well, yeah, kinda. Well, no, it played into a lot of stuff. Well, you got to consider that she's actually aware that she's a witch for a start. But I love the fact that my favorite stuff about it is that we don't know if Michael Caine's actually in love or she's cast spells on him.
That's
and
true.
There's a bit at the end of the movie, I swear to you, I looked at my entire household, we watched this together, and we all said Iris when this happened at the end of the movie. Nicole Kidman is sitting with Will Ferrell. They're both looking at each other, and she's like, I can't be a normal person because I'm a witch, but I can't be a witch because I want to be normal, right? And then they go, there's only one person, and then Will Ferrell's like, so there's no one who's ever done it before? And she's like, no one. And then he's like, and then they're like, wait, there is one person. And I was like, that we know. And we all went, Iris, because she's managed to be a human the entire time, but still balance out being a witch, right?
I didn't think of that.
And then they just go, Samantha from the TV show.
I completely missed that. Oh god.
I literally thought they were going to be like, hey, and then they turned to Iris and kind of like get her advice as like an older person, like as a mentoring kind of mother figure to help her adapt to being a human and a witch lifestyle at the same time. But I was wrong.
No,
we were all wrong.
They picked the fictional character.
Yeah, they picked
the in-movie fictional
Don't
character.
you hate it when you're pouring like 15 million ounces of sugar into your coffee?
Sometimes you just need a little diabetes.
Sometimes you just need to actually hear Jason Schwartzman say that you have a cute little butt and that he wouldn't kick her out of bed for eating a box of crackers. Look, I'm not saying that he is the devil, but at the end of the movie they do imply that he may not be human. And they never resolve that.
Oh yeah, that was a line. On the way to your house, there's a bus stop not too far from your house, and there was like a couple sitting there. It was like a guy and then a girl on his lap.
And did he kick her off his lap for eating a box of crackers?
No, he kept smacking her ass.
Oh, well, on her. Okay.
Yeah.
And what did you feel about that? Did you walk over and be like, "Hey man, it's 2016, feminism," and then you slapped him, and then she's like, "Thank you," and then you all slapped him on the ass to teach him. I love that she's running vigorously throughout this entire scene. She is 4'11".
Her breasts are bouncing like hell.
Well, yeah, because she is tiny and she has to run like fucking, and she's wearing like heels.
I like how the trivia pointed out Nicole Kidman's much taller than her. You can especially see it when they're jumping. It's like you can tell.
You can tell by when Nicole Kidman's with Will Ferrell, because Will Ferrell was like 6'5" and Nicole Kidman's nearly as tall as him without heels. Here's my favorite thing about Nicole Kidman. I mentioned it in the Stepford Wives. She's crazy, right? Like, in acting, I mean, when she acts, she rarely acts naturalistically in these types of movies. Her characters are batshit crazy. I thought she was schizophrenic for a lot of this movie. I don't know. She had a lot of stuff going on. Mainly it was the accent that I couldn't figure out. Because she had that kind of, I got a kind of kid voice going on, but I'm talking about killing Will Ferrell.
Oh yeah, it's kind of like innocent little girl kind of thing.
But she's also like, I'm going to kill people.
Ryan, are you trying to tell me that there's a scene in this movie
where she actually kills someone?
Where she drops, like, lighting rigs on a woman that kind of annoyed her?
Yeah, vaguely annoyed her. Just her existence annoyed her, and she... Here's the thing. Why can't she just rewind everything back to normal when things go wrong? If you make a social faux pas, why can't she just... Oh, because she doesn't want to be a witch. Oh. But here's the thing I want to know.
Yeah, if she was lenient.
Can time travel affect other witches, or are they aware that time travel's happening? So you're standing there, I'm a witch, you're a witch, I accidentally break a glass. If I use my spell to rewind time, are you just affected by it, or are you there with me being... Like, how does it work? Well, for other witches. How does magic work for other magic users?
Well, this film, via time travel, retconned, like, the one character. Aunt Clara does not appear in this movie thanks to the retconning of the time travel going back.
You know what was one of my favourite things that just never got explained in this movie?
Yeah? I mean, I don't, but tell me.
There's a bit where Nicole Kidman goes back to her house to ask Aunt Clara to remove the hex that they eventually will put onto Will Ferrell to make Will Ferrell like a good person and fall in love. Aunt Clara's just standing in like a bucket. She's got her feet in a giant tub. And she's carrying on a full conversation, and it's never brought up. Like, why is she's soaking her feet? Why?
They mentioned that Aunt Clara in the show was a clumsy character.
Yeah, that's the whole gag.
Could that like be a thing? Like she accidentally got her foot stuck in a bucket and she can't.
No, like it wasn't like a little bucket. It's like a massive barrel, I should say.
Oh, okay. So you reckon she
I don't know.
Washing her feet?
Okay, really, Bartek. When we watch this, and I imagine you guys are watching this too, when we get to that scene, really prepare yourself, because I wasn't prepared. It's just like, you know, sometimes when scenes happen, you have an expectation of where they're going to go, even with movies that are like, you know, keeps you guessing and turning. It's like if you had like, you know, even tricky, weird movies, you still have an idea. But then there's stuff that just really throws you, and they may be the simplest things ever. That thing where Aunt Clara's just sitting there with like her legs and feet drenching, like just being soaking in a barrel. I don't know. That really got me. I just really want to know the directing choice there. You know, it's like, okay, so we need a giant barrel. It's like, what for? For the foot soaking scene. Like, you know, what else would we need it for?
Okay, so the part of the movie that we're up to right now is she wants to kind of get back at Jack for what he's, you know, kind of done to her. Like,
yes, get back at Jack.
So Ryan, the question is,
I love the dog guy, might I add. He was a favourite of mine.
The dog, or
no, the dog guy.
Oh,
the guy.
This guy.
This guy was a personal hero to me in this movie. For some reason, he just got me. But go on, you were saying.
Okay, so here we have, you know, let's just spread it into two factions. We've got Jack and we've got Isabel. On Isabel, she's got a couple of people on her side, right?
Yeah.
So let's like list them out. So we've got
the two women.
The two women. No, Ryan. She has someone else on her side.
The dog.
No, there's someone else.
Iris.
No, there's someone
Samantha.
else. No, there's someone else. Ryan, look. Let me read for you the description for one of the quizzes that I did. This is the description.
I hate you. Oh, look at that. The dog guy. The dog guy's just like got a hook with his steak on it going... Go on.
Alright, so the description for one of these quizzes.
Oh, please don't.
This is about Bewitched, the film made in 2005, not the well-known TV series.
Thanks.
Will Isabel succeed in her new role in Yep. Succeed in her new role in Bewitched, the TV series? Take the quiz to help Isabel White. I love Jack White's face.
Okay.
We, the quiz takers, were on her side too, because we were answering questions.
Is there an alternative quiz where you get to play for Jack White's side and you get to wipe the grin off her face?
I hope so.
Fuck you.
I like the description for that, because at the end of the movie, we're not against Jack White.
Here's the thing about Jack White. He's an anti-hero, if anything. He wants to be good. You know what I like about it? He genuinely loves the show. Like, not the show that he's in, but Bewitched. He wants to do right by it, but his manager is the one who's twisting and turning. And since Jack White has pursued what I imagine were endeavors that he thought were going to be good, such as, what was it, Last Man on Kathmandu or whatever, and all these other things, his agent, he's now listening to his agent. That's what I gather. And you know, that's what made Will Ferrell, and Will Ferrell's general portrayal of this character really makes you root for him and loathe him at the same time. I think that is the ultimate Will Ferrell trait. Will Ferrell plays loathsome characters, morally bankrupt, dubious, downright dirty characters, but Will Ferrell has a comedic charm to him. He has a way in his eyes, but for me, I don't know about you, but for me, there's something with Will Ferrell's voice that just makes me laugh. Something in his voice, the tone, the inflections, he just really knows how to make me laugh sometimes. And I think that is what makes you like him at the same time. He has played some despicable characters, including Jack in this movie, and for some reason I still like him.
Yeah, he does have a kind of matter-of-factly tone to his voice at times.
Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, he has this kind of high-pitched, whiny voice, and that's what makes me laugh, because he looks like the guy who wouldn't do that. Like, that's why when he's just like, "Are you gonna get me pregnant? I can't get pregnant right now." Yeah,
the first thing we see of him in this movie is he's talking to his manager, just having a serious kind of talk, and I was like, oh, this is a different kind of Will Ferrell performance.
Yeah, right?
And then it's not until the manager tells him to stop being a pussy that he starts, like, resembling the Will Ferrell that we know a bit more. Like, you know, he's like making these high demands about, like, having a leopard and stuff like that.
So, that is true.
And his freak out later on.
Will Ferrell's wiggling his nose. One of my favourite facts about this entire movie is about wiggling noses. Mm-hmm. Did you read this fact about the wiggling nose?
I might have, but...
okay, no shit. Nicole Kidman was not allowed to wiggle her nose.
Yes.
Until the film had already come out. But she was pestered and done it on a Jonathan Ross episode. What? What studio is this? Why would you agree to that?
Columbia, I think it was.
Why? What a weird thing to say no to doing. It's like, right, this movie Bewitched is going to be the best movie ever made. Nicole, you know what you need to do? Not wiggle my nose? You got it. I mean, what?
Like, oh, well, we've seen her performance now. We don't need it.
Yeah. Can she do it? Oh, okay, don't need to see the movie now. Like, the movie would have just been like 2 hours of her wiggling her nose.
Yeah, she should have like been like, yeah, not only can I wiggle my nose, but I do a certain other thing.
So, not only do they want to murder him now, but they also want to Photoshop Will Ferrell fucking animals. It's such a giant leap. I mean, and this is where the movie really turns, isn't it, at this point?
Yeah.
Will Ferrell, where this is her, like, we've already seen her turn, but where she starts going, fuck it, and uses witchcraft and to screw around with Will Ferrell. And here she is, Aunt Clara, who... Okay, be honest.
Mm-hmm.
At this point, I didn't know if this was the movie or the TV show within the movie now, because Aunt Clara appears... And the doorknobs are things she collects in the show. And I'm like, oh, okay, so is it somehow now cut to the show? Because sometimes this movie does that, where you're watching it and then somehow it's like, oh, no, it's them on the rehearsal now. Okay. This is where the movie really gets Inception-like, where it makes you question what is reality, what is fiction. This is magical surrealism at its best. Because Aunt Clara's in the show, but she's in her life as well. And they don't watch Bewitched because it's bad. It makes fun of their culture. So, Bartek, do you think that the characters of her family were created into the TV show Bewitched? What do you think of the whole mythos of this universe that this movie is giving us in relation to the TV show Bewitched?
I just kind of, because these two were in here, the one whose name we don't remember, she mentioned, oh yeah, the show Bewitched had a character called Aunt Clara too, and like all these facts she was telling, and she was just responding with, really? Like, I actually believe that she kind of didn't know those facts, like, because Bewitched is a taboo-ish kind of subject. So
yeah, for them, yeah.
So I think as much of a stretch as it is coincidence. But like I mentioned earlier, and we'll get to this later, the Steve Carell thing just really kind of messes with my head.
Steve Carell messes with my head.
Yeah.
So, see, for me, I felt like, honestly, when you talk, Michael Caine's like the only one who feels real bitter resentment towards the TV show Bewitched. Mm-hmm. And we don't know where Nicole Kidman's mother is in all of this. She's disappeared, so Michael Caine says.
Right.
I, for some reason, feel like at some point Michael Caine and this family of theirs somehow interacted with the creators of the show Bewitched and were the inspiring characters and things of the TV show, and that's why Michael Caine is so like reclusive and doesn't like humans. That's just personally my interpretation of the movie. Here's something that I genuinely had an argument about with my household and with myself internally. People see the magic like normal people. Like Michael Caine was in a crowded street and disappeared and no one noticed.
Yeah, that's a tricky question to answer because
and nobody noticed Nicole Kidman talking to boxes of cereal earlier in the movie just now. I thought that was going to be a joke. I thought, oh, she looks like she's crazy. But no, it just didn't happen. So do people not see the magic being used by magic users? Other than people who do magic? Because Iris is a witch and she noticed. But nobody else did.
Maybe they've got like some kind of sixth sense that like tells them no one's paying attention now or something like that. Because again, it's a coincidence if they don't pay attention, just no one happens to see it.
Well, it's kind of like how, I guess, you know, it is a smart way to do it. It's kind of like in the TV show Bewitched that Agnes, the next door neighbor, is always looking through the window seeing all this magic shit happen. And then every time
which is like a reference at the end of the movie.
Yeah, and then she asks her husband to get up, and by the time he gets up, it's all gone, and he's just like, Agnes. He like sits back down. Like, there's always a recurring gag. That's what happens in I Dream of Jeannie and Bewitched, which is somehow their magic gets used but nobody else notices it, except for one or two characters who their whole ambition is to try and out them to other people to make themselves not feel crazy. I Dream of Jeannie does that with Dr. Bellows, his boss, who is just like, what? No. And they make him forget most of the time. But Agnes, they never make forget usually. She just is constantly like on the razor edge of sanity.
Maybe they've got like a whole, because we don't know too much about their witch world. Maybe there is some kind of ministry of witches in the background that, like, I don't know, removes memories of people who would be significant if they complained or made an uproar about seeing magic.
See, again, this is why the movie is a cinematic masterpiece. I mean, it gets the mythos, the mythology, the understanding, the rules of the TV show, and twists them and turns them, but doesn't break them, but fully abide by them either, thus creating a new world of witchcraft and wizardry, such as, did you think that the wizards and witches and warlocks and magical creatures lived on Earth, or they live in like a separate kind of stratosphere, realm that they can go to? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What was your feeling about that?
It is we only get glimpses into it, and it feels like this movie, even though it's just a one-off movie, could really benefit from like an expanded universe of some sort. Because we did have that whole improvisation scene where, like,
you need a permit.
You need permits for poison apples. She's dated a warlock before, which means that because Nigel here tells us that
he's a witch.
He's a witch. He's
so
not
warlocks
a warlock.
are like a different breed.
So warlock is something else completely.
Because I thought warlocks were male witches.
That's what I thought too. I thought like you either just switch between wizard or warlock.
Yeah. So. Yeah, the very interesting breed. Well, see, I thought that too, but then at the end, when Uncle Arthur, he's a whole can of worms to get into.
Yeah.
A big one. We'll get there. When he says, you got to get her before she goes back to their land. She can't return until 100 years. But then that's a lie. And then she says it's a lie. There are no other lands. They live on Earth.
Yeah.
So it's not like Harry Potter, where Harry Potter, they do live on Earth, but there's like that thing where muggles can't go to.
Yeah, for one reason or another, they aren't aware of like another part of the train station and like wherever Hogwarts is.
Yeah, they can't get there, or they can't go there while they aren't aware. That's kind of, is that the case for this?
It might be.
Look!
Oh yeah, the bucket.
She's just like got her foot in like a bucket, feet in a bucket, and they just don't talk about it. It's just like, oh, just accept it. She's eating crackers of some sort, and she's just bucket.
Okay, so maybe that Tom Cruise looking guy would kick her out of bed if she ate crackers. You know, this is the second movie in a row we've done on this show that has like a dick manager kind of guy.
Yeah? Yeah. That's good. We need more dick managers. Now, if you told me that Paul Giamatti was in this movie as Marty Wolf from Big Fat Liar, and this was the same universe, I would believe you for everything you say.
Oh, they could have like a crossover where they actually do turn a big fat guy giant.
And Frankie Muniz can be Uncle Arthur.
So, another thing kind of relating more to Snow Day, where people have commented that the main character of that, Hal, was a bit creepy and kind of
yes, for the cinematic Nickelodeon film, Snow
yes,
Day.
we have Will Ferrell right now at this little portion of the movie. He is kind of like that too, but the movie doesn't make us hate him because they've established that he's under a hex. He can't help it.
No, it's not his fault. It's entirely her fault. If anything, we should be creeped out by her.
Yeah, so when we have this scene where they go up to wherever they go at night and are about to kiss and stuff, it actually does feel kind of nice that like we do get to see another part of him behind what we know is the things he can't help.
Yeah, the ego.
Yeah. So the last thing I have to mention from the quizzes that I did was regarding what he even sniffed the purse. What Aunt Clara did to him. And
go on.
The question is,
Do I need to prepare myself? Like I did for that bucket scene?
maybe,
Okay, yeah. Okay.
Right.
Definitely then.
What does Isabel's aunt do when she finds out that Jack White has been stringing Isabel along? The answer is put a hex on him.
Thank you.
The other options are jinx him, cast a spell on him,
Well, yeah.
or smack him round the face.
With her hex.
The hex. So remember, guys, she didn't cast a spell. She didn't jinx him. She hexed him.
It's very different breed of creature. A hex. So, did you have a favorite character in this film?
Yes.
And who was it?
Yes. And to be fair, I'm not gonna say the cat because I love cats. I have a
Cats are
human
pretty good.
favorite character in this.
And who are they?
They don't have a name.
Oh, thank you.
This is
the best kind of character.
This is another one where it's a character who only appears once, doesn't have a name, and
Do they say lines?
Yes, they have a line. That's why they're my favorite.
So Conan O'Brien. Yeah.
Conan O'Brien has a name. All right, Ryan. Do you remember the scene where Jack's wife appears? Basically.
Yeah. We're gonna see it soon. Yeah.
Yeah. You remember at the end towards the end of that scene where the fan blew on her and that pissed her off.
Oh,
My favorite character was one of the guys who was carrying that fan.
Oh my god! I looked at him too. Was it the kind of fat looking dude?
I don't remember what he looked like, but when the fan went off and distressed the wife, one of those guys just got really angry and quit his job.
Yeah.
And that really concerned me.
He's like, that's it. That's a final straw, guys.
Like, I genuinely got really concerned in that scene because I thought, oh no, Isabel's gonna be, like, feeling really guilty that she's caused this man such distress. Or,
But no,
like,
she did rewind
she's realizing that her magic, like, the reason why she wanted to quit it is because it causes, like, problems in her life. And also, that man got really angry at the fact that fan went off. So, like, that could
he was one step away from going postal.
That's the thing. Like, there was something going on in this man's life.
You want to watch his movie with the chick from Baby's Day Out?
And the couple from the tuxedo.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this guy had some shit, and he was just pushed over the edge.
We should watch his midlife crisis movie.
What he did afterwards, maybe he got his job back, maybe he calmed down a bit and...
Paul Giamatti interviewed him for a new job. He's like, you're the guy I need, man. You're the guy I need.
And as we know, Marty Wolf did sort of abuse his people a bit.
Physically and emotionally.
Emotionally more
so.
Twinkie lady.
There were lots of characters in this movie to choose from.
For your favourite character?
Yeah. You know, I didn't nail it down to a singular person. More a concept of a character, which was the manager as the devil. I really believe that if you watch this movie again and you're like, the real antagonist is his manager, it changes everything that you see. The manager was really one of the top picks for me of favorite characters. He's so self-assured. Like, he gets fired at one point. He's like, haha, okay. And then just keeps working for him. I also liked another, not a person, but a concept, which was the 15 televisions that Will Ferrell had in his house.
Oh yeah, all turned to the same station channel.
What a nightmare. So, she's rewound time, and I didn't think about this. She rewound time to the point where Aunt Clara, at some reason now, doesn't come into the story?
Yeah.
Why? How did that affect Aunt Clara?
Maybe because Isabel knows what a dick is now? And that just, like, had a...
Yeah, but how did Aunt Clara... Aunt Clara just visited, right?
Yeah, she visits the next day.
Yeah.
So,
I just don't understand.
So some actions that she took just had a weird dynamic with the universe and made Aunt Clara decide not to visit.
Yeah. I mean, for me it was hard also for favourite characters because this chick that wants to tase and feed him to the sharks and... Photoshop him with animals... She was just great. I mean, so we're coming up to this scene where it's like a reenactment again, but instead he's talking about himself. Look, on a level, I did love the whole crew. Like, there's this one guy, this fat guy with glasses, and he's just like, him in the middle there with the hat. He was pretty funny. There were some moments where he was just like, we could recast. We could. I mean,
was he a yes man or something?
No, like when they were like, could we recast? He's like, we could, but like, indicating no.
He didn't seem to be too into the idea.
No one's into the idea.
Yeah.
Hug me.
So that's the Will Ferrell we know.
That's the Will Ferrell we know. A giant man-child who's so insecure.
Man-child, that's a good word for him, yeah.
Well, that's exactly the word to use. It's, in fact, a few words. 2 to be precise.
It's a compound word.
Oh, well, there you go. You got me there.
She got a 99.
A 99. So, but yet again, this is a film that raises a lot of questions, doesn't answer all of them, and it really does play around with Bewitched. But I really like the fact that they even scoff at the idea of I Dream a Genie in this movie, because there's a whole thing. You a fan of Bewitched or I Dream a Genie? Which one do you like more? You got to be on one side or the other. Team Cap, Team Iron Man. Which side are you on? Batman, Superman? Which side? I Dream a Genie? That's what's coming out this summer. Bewitched versus I Dream a Genie. And Will Ferrell's in both. He's on both sides, and he's alternated between Billy Crystal and Jerry Seinfeld as well on the Bewitched side.
And Dame Edna as
and Dame Edna
Major Nelson.
as Major Nelson. So, did you like I Dream of Jeannie as well?
Yeah, I think I watched a little bit more of I Dream of Jeannie than Bewitched, but I don't think I remember it as well as some of the Bewitched stuff.
I liked I Dream of Jeannie more. Now, here's the thing, though.
Yeah.
I think I Dream of Jeannie, I liked it more because I liked the central characters. I liked Major Nelson, and I liked Jeannie herself, and I think that's what beats it for the contender of winner, because Bewitched, I didn't like Darren, and I didn't like Samantha that much, but I liked Endora, I liked Uncle Arthur, I liked...
It's like one has better secondary characters, one has better leads.
Yeah, and no, the secondary characters are also fantastic. I think just overall, the general feels of the show are very similar, obviously, except one's witch, one's a genie. But I felt like the all-round cast and characters in I Dream of Jeannie I liked more. I liked Dr. Bellows. I liked, Major Nelson's friend. He
worked at NASA, right?
Yeah, they worked at NASA. They're astronauts or some bullshit. Nelson, I liked all of them. And you know what, though? The thing that Bewitched has that trumps I Dream of Jeannie any day, and this is what makes I'm going to this is a bold comment, but I think this one not being in this movie is the single-handed reason why this movie is unappreciated. The character of the witch doctor, Dr. Bombay. Dr. Bombay is the best character of television.
Yeah?
He is great. He's played by a character actor who's a British man, an older British man with a mustache, and he's very, he's very, I talk like, he's very Britishly gentleman, and he has this great booming British voice and all that kind of stuff. And his character the joke was, Dr. Bombay, whatever he is doing outside of the story that they bring him into is far more interesting than anything in the show. So, one time they call him up because Samantha's having troubles, and he's, halfway through a match of polo on Mount Everest riding wildebeests, versing a royal family.
Right.
And, everything he does is far more interesting, and he's kooky as shit because he's a witch doctor, right? So he checks for the pulse in the foot, not the neck or wrist or anything. And, he has all these convoluted kind of recipes and ingredients and medicines and all this other stuff, and he's just far more interesting, and he's just like this cavaliering adventurer, ladies' man charmer, comedic kind of character that's that all-round, universally amazing character that for a fact that if you hung out with that character more often in a real TV, if they had their own spin-off show, they're so amazing as a secondary character that only comes up once or twice that they would not have a show worth making. Dr. Bombay is that quintessential character that this movie really needed. I really thought that Michael Caine was going to be Dr. Bombay. Something. I was really hoping Dr. Bombay was going to turn up in this, because he is for me, he's better than Uncle Arthur. For me, he's better than Aunt Clara. But Dr. Bombay, him not being in this movie, I think it was a real detriment to it. I think so. People who don't know Bewitched and people who do know Bewitched knew deep down that there was that important character missing. And that character was Dr. Bombay.
Did Bewitched have a cat? Pet cat?
Yeah, I think. Isn't it in the opening credits? No.
Well,
she turns into a cat.
Well, yeah, the animated thing, but did they actually have a pet cat?
I don't think so. I don't remember a cat. They had a kid.
Well, this movie's kind of got that show beat then,
Fuck off. Dr. Bombay was the greatest. So, that is my opinion. But it's what do you think brought this movie to a failure in the general masses, to the untrained eye? What do you think brought this down? I mean, really, think about it. It has Nicole Kidman, it has Will Ferrell, it has Michael Caine, it's based on an old popular property, it's good content itself, and it's directed by people who have worked on other big movies like You've Got Mail. So, what do you think went wrong? What do you think held this movie back?
She wiggled her nose outside of the premiere.
Oh, you got me there. No, really, though.
So, the show's from the 60s, right?
Yeah, went into the 70s, I think.
Would that mean that it had a kind of more appeal to people who did watch that original show?
Yeah, I guess, but it's one of those cultural touchstones that everyone recognizes Bewitched. It doesn't matter if it's old or if it's not. It's just one of those universally loved shows, so it's just so important. So I don't think the whole it being older is going to deter younger people from seeing it necessarily, because, you know, big movies have been made from properties such as Iron Man that nobody knew of before the movie. Like, people did who were into the stuff, but that's an example.
It's a good question. What did the trailer like kind of look like? Did it more emphasize?
The trailer was amazing. If you want to see a movie summed up in 2.5 minutes, what's the trailer on IMDb for this? Because it is a movie that this one is not. It is a perfect trailer. It is so mind-bogglingly... Maybe that's the reason why. The trailer does not emphasize it as a comedy.
Yep.
The trailer... I shit you not. There's moments in the trailer where she's like, I don't want to be... Like, they get bits from the movie, and they manipulate it into looking like this real romantic drama where she's got an inner turmoil about whether she should use her witch powers or not. And you know, there comes a point where she's saying her lines like, it's hard to be a witch and be normal, and then it'll fade to black, and the writing, this blue funky writing, will come up and be like, you know, it's hard to be normal. It's like, magic makes you more than normal. Question mark?
Oh.
Like, it's like, you don't know. It's just shit like that. It's insane. So maybe the trailer, but I don't know. There's got to be something within the movie. Because trailers aren't the only reasons why movies can fail. Like, you know, Ghostbusters had an awful trailer, but people saw that. Again, Ghostbusters, based on an older property as well. A popular one.
And the poster for this movie was the one of, like, them both on a broomstick, and Will Ferrell's kind of, like, awkward looking, and she's like, yeah, we're on a broomstick?
Yeah.
That's the one?
Yeah, and that sold me.
Sold you?
What, you didn't like broomsticks?
No, I liked it.
You're like, it's 2005! Use a Roomba!
I'm just kind of, you know, brainstorming all the sorts of things that people would know about this movie from. Like, what else is there? There's trailers, posters,
Actors,
directors,
production.
They all seem pretty good so far. So what is it that failed?
I think deep down, it was the fear of contending with another popular movie about wizardry and witchcraft. In a time where Harry Potter ruled our cinemas, believe it or not, every other movie that involved magic was not seen by the general mass. You'd think during a time like that, where, okay, we live in a time now where comic book movies are everywhere, and Marvel is the dominating form, but not the only one, and people do see the DC ones, and people do see the other ones, and you know, but when Harry Potter ruled, it ruled. There was no contest. There was no contenders. Even a movie like this, where it isn't trying to be Harry Potter, but it does have magic, no one wants to see it because Harry Potter. Harry Potter. Fucking Harry Potter. Once again,
Harry Potter
ruins it all.
To think I was actually going to bring it up not too long ago when we were talking about the whole what happens when people see the magic thing, because one of those movies, a guy did see a flying car and they just never really resolved that.
So, you know, Harry Potter again, to blame for Hollywood's failures. I mean,
what was
typical.
We did a movie on this show where one of the reasons I brought up why it didn't do so well is because Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire and like Chicken Little kind of overshadowed it.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it was.
Can't remember, but
if it was the Stepford Wives, then poor Nicole Kidman.
Nicole Kidman just really needs to stop doing movies, and she has. And look at her career now. Fantastic. Everyone misses her. It's like her and Cameron Diaz. They should come. Her and Cameron Diaz haven't acted in a while. I think they should come back in a movie together about witches. Right? They should come back in a movie, and it's called the sisterhood or something or other, and they're standing back to back, and Nicole Kidman's like wearing like the really old witch's hat, and Cameron Diaz is like wearing the really wide brim one, and they're both standing there like, yeah! And it's a movie about two sisters who open up their own firm of witchcraft in New York. And
like
they have
detectives or something?
Like witchcraft in this world is kind of like a law office. Like, I don't know, it's like they come to you, it's like, we need you guys to use your witchcraft for this case. It's like, okay, this is the last time though.
Oh, it's dead.
So she's killed. Okay, so this is a scene where Nicole Kidman, our hero, our protagonist, wants and does kill a person.
Nah, retconned.
Here's the thing, though. If heaven exists in this universe, does that mean that she died just then? What happens to souls if you rewind? Like, I know it's a typical time trope thing, but like, I don't know what happens. So, is she technically dead?
I suppose
now.
I suppose in this universe, heaven would like follow the same time as Earth, because unless we thought of heaven as like an other dimensionally thing that like does not follow the rules of this world, if that were the case, I guess her soul would be split into two.
Yeah, but does that mean witches, wizards, and warlocks are basically gods? Then, if they can outmaneuver God himself, does that mean they're more powerful than him?
Well, that's assuming that they are incapable of dying of old age.
Well,
because
Michael Caine is thousands of years old, according to him in the movie. I've been around for thousands of years. So is it this guy holding it?
I think it might be.
So, yeah, all of her hair extensions fall out, which is like, haha, funny.
Oh, Joey, they said it.
Joey! The place is spooked. I quit.
Okay, so it was the fat guy.
Yeah. I love it. He's like, it's spooked. That's it. He had a reason. He's like, he believed in witchcraft.
Okay, so I was wrong. He does have a name. It's Joey.
He believed in magic.
Joey's my favourite character.
Wait, holy shit. He answered our question. People can't see magic. He did. Because he just said, I'm out. This place is spooked. Like, he knew it was magic involved. Holy shit, wouldn't it be... Okay, I'm not telling you that this movie isn't already great, but could you make this 10 times better by, for some reason, he still remembers her being crushed to death? For some reason, he did not get retconned?
If that were... I'd like to see that movie.
And he's just, like, haunted by it the whole time. He's like, oh my god, like, oh my. And he's just, like, having a nervous breakdown about it. He's, like, watching other instances. And then he would be like, why couldn't you stop 9/11? Which is a good question, actually. Again, okay, this movie doesn't have the Harry Potter rules, because Harry Potter rules are like, they don't offend, like, they don't enter into Muggle stuff, hence they don't stop World War II and shit, right? Why doesn't Nicole Kidman, who is assumably hundreds of years old, because she's the daughter of Michael Caine, he's thousands of years old, she is not 34 or whatever.
Hold on. When Bewitched was on like TV, wasn't she like a kid though? So she'd be at least a couple of...
No. She said that she just wasn't allowed to watch it.
Right.
I don't know if she said she was a kid or not. I can't remember. Oh, that's why he's holding the broom. I was like watching the scene. I missed that bit. I was like, why is this guy holding a broom behind Will Ferrell's head for the entire scene?
No, I knew what it was.
Yeah, well, good for you. So, I don't know. Was she a kid? I just thought she wasn't allowed to watch it because it's not in their culture. It's banned.
I just assumed that, like, because she was following that rule so, carefully, it was like, oh, when I wasn't allowed to watch The Simpsons, so, something like that.
Yeah, she's blending in with human society. It's one of those things. If she was so powerful, why didn't she stop Hitler? Again, you could go into this for years.
Well, maybe Hitler was also...
A wizard? Oh my god, don't even...
Like, I think in, like, Assassin's Creed lore, like, Hitler,
Hitler
was an assassin.
In Assassin's Creed lore, which obviously applies to Bewitched lore, Hitler was an assassin and wizard.
And in Captain Planet lore, he fought Captain Planet.
Did he?
Yeah.
Did he have his own captain?
But he had like a handlebar moustache just so that they'll be like, oh, it's not Hitler, it's
Heinrich.
I don't know.
It's Harley. So, this is the thing. Michael Caine, at this point, now discovers... Well, he doesn't discover. We discover as the audience that she is, in fact, a witch. But she's already told us through telling Michael Caine that she was a witch. But we didn't believe her because she was kooky. And she's playing a witch. So we're like, oh, okay, she's like, you know, getting into the role or whatever. But what were the chances that Iris was actually a witch, and that for some reason the casting directors managed to hire 2 witches on the set of Bewitched to play the witch characters on Bewitched?
Well, first of all, I believed her when she said she was a witch.
Did you?
I did.
When she said, I'm a witch, I turned out the lights of London, you actually believed her?
Well, that might have been a tale, but I believed that she was a witch.
Okay, I did not believe her.
Okay.
I did not believe her because her character throughout the movie had indicated to me that she was just one of those actresses who gets into the, you know, kind of stratosphere of that. So I dismissed it. And then when she did her magic, I was like, oh, genuinely surprised. Because I'm like, oh, wow, I should have trusted what she said. Like, oh, silly me. I was Michael Caine. In that, I'm Michael Caine.
I'm Michael Caine.
I did this movie for a boat. I mean, you know that, right? Michael Caine has movies called, like, boat or house movies where he does them just so he can get a new house or a new boat. Jaws 4, he did that. He's like, I don't remember, but I remember the house they got me. He was like, jeez, Michael. I think this is one of those movies, but even in those movies, he is a star. There's a reason why he's a star. Does he not notice that he gets a mustache?
Will Ferrell? He thinks it's a trick.
No, Jason Schwartzman.
Oh, probably not.
So how does it work? So
magic.
No, magic, yes, but in terms of magic, does that mean she technically rewrote history for him to have a mustache?
I just
like
assumed,
because he doesn't recognize these.
I assumed she put it there.
Like, does that mean she can turn a man into like a walking tub of jelly with legs? Like, how strong is her magic?
Yeah, that's kind of a vague thing. Like, they're able to do a lot of crazy things.
Why
like,
can't they just...
When they bring in time travel, it's like, oh, well, what's the extent? And, like, all these certain points where she could use that time travel just to make things a bit more convenient.
Look, I'm not saying that this movie needed to have more cohesion like The Prince of Persia, the Sands of Times movie, where that movie understood time travel, but it maybe needed it.
Not like that movie. This one I could buy that this is all one, you know, timeline because they actually have the rewind symbol there. So it's like kind of going back and like deleting what just happened.
Hey there, I have hepatitis C. Okay. When I said to you, Bartek, we're watching Bewitched.
Yeah.
Before actually having watched it now, who did you think this movie was targeted towards? Like age groups? Like, who do you think was allowed to watch this movie? Before watching it, and now after watching it.
I assume that using the Australian rating systems, it would be around the PGM rating place. Okay. There was a point in this movie where a character mentioned sex, and that kind of like something in my head, like, oh, okay, so this probably is for a bit more siding towards the M rather than the PG.
So,
but then nothing too much else really.
Yeah, exactly. I thought, okay, so this is going to be like, this could be appropriate for kids. But literally, everything the manager says makes this movie for adults.
Yeah, like kicking out of bed and stuff.
The first thing he says is, one of the first things he does say is, you're being a pussy. You want to be the mayor of Pussytown? Do you want to live in Pussytown? It's like, jeez Louise.
Is that bad looking from like our point of view, or was that like was that actually bad language back then too? Because nowadays we have this whole idea of like
it's bad for kids. Right. You're not going to see a Pixar movie say pussy.
Yeah.
Even if it means coward or whatever, you're not going to have a kids show or kids movie say pussy. Pussy's too much. It's too much.
Yeah, fair enough.
You know, kids things do get away with a lot. I'm not saying that there aren't any that haven't got away with using pussy, but not this. Not this. You know, and you know, it's just very confusing at the time of watching it. But now having watched it, I know what audience.
It's for Will Ferrell.
It's for Will Ferrell's audience. This movie's Will Ferrell's movie. It's kind of ironic that in the movie, It's about a guy who's making a show about the woman, about him, and it's supposed to be about the woman in the movie that we're watching. But really, it's kind of about Will Ferrell.
From this point onwards, it kind of does switch main characters, because it's about him trying to make up for this blunder.
Really, in all fairness, though, he approached it from the most realistic point of doing it. Really, though.
Oh, yeah, he jumped onto the possibility that he might have had, like, influential magic on him.
Yeah, and how betrayed would you feel? He's just like, oh, I used some, and you wouldn't know. It would be such a betrayal of trust. So Will Ferrell, at this point, it's skipped ahead in time. The TV show has been made.
Yeah.
Or has it? I don't understand.
Well, no, 2 episodes had already been shown because they had the character ratings.
Yeah, but now it's skipped ahead because he disappeared down to Mexico and he's a homeless man. And she's quit the show.
Is he homeless?
Well, look at him.
I mean,
like, nobody knew where he was, and he was brought up by security, and they didn't even recognize him.
He looks like a mess, but I don't...
Okay, but, he was picking coins out of the fountain.
I just took that as kind of like a wacky Will Ferrell thing.
No, I thought it was like he's felt so bad that he's had a breakdown about the whole thing, and he's gone into, like, this reclusive thing. Time has passed since that last scene where he was screaming. I don't know how much.
I don't think it was too much.
But honestly, I thought it was a year.
And she's still deciding whether to quit.
No. I think she has quit, but they're like, you should go back, blah, blah, blah. Because they're already recasting it. In this speech given here, I do believe that Kristin Chenoweth, who is in this movie, eventually they're like, oh, they're recasting it, blah, blah. So here we are, the recasting scene, So how much time has passed? It's very, very, very curious.
Yeah, look, obviously we don't have the evidence, but I don't think too much has
Wouldn't
passed.
it be great if this scene had Meryl Streep auditioning for it, and they're like, nah, we don't want any big names.
Yeah,
And
Meryl
she's
Streep and Dame Edna would be good.
Robin Williams? He's still around.
Yeah, he was.
He would have dressed up in a dress. He's still got the ketchup sauce. That's like the part I love. He's holding it.
Yeah, I noticed that when he was walking past the people in the line.
He just loves it.
I didn't notice it at this point, though. It's great that he still has it. 5'9".
Yeah, it's how old Nicole Kidman is in the movie, I guess.
Oh, well, maybe.
I love this.
This
is
cries.
great. Will Ferrell has a great cry. It's funny. It's so funny. Like, I've never laughed at anyone cry so much as I do with Will Ferrell, because when he cries in all of his movies, and it's always the same one. It's always the same kind of crying. I just find it funny. I don't know.
It was especially Man-Childy in Step Brothers. I know you don't like that movie, but
I hate Step Brothers.
I know you do.
So, Bartek, did you have a favourite scene or moment? What were some scenes or moments that really, really highlighted the brilliance of this movie for you and just really touched you?
Well, all the moments where I've mentioned the film is clever, like, I like this scene too.
Sunday Fools.
Yeah, all the scenes where I just thought the movie was really clever for doing things differently and not how I would have expected them to. Like, they made Will Ferrell, that, with the hex on him, a creepy character, but then she somehow bought into it, and she got to see a real side of him.
He's wearing sunglasses. I just love this. Like, the other guy's like, he's wearing sunglasses and it's supposed to be a Roman movie. It's called Atticus Rex. And then an onion for Willie. Sorry, an onion for Willie.
Oh, yeah.
And there's Willie. So you were saying, yeah, there's a series of it.
Yeah, just doing things cleverly, not how we'd expect them to. And we haven't mentioned that Isabel's really attracted to hopeless people.
Yeah. Well, she just wants a normal person.
No, I get what she's going for. She wants someone that can, like, I love the cat's eyes, that can, like, rely on her, that she can kind of, like, fix in a way with her presence, like the desire to be needed, and the German. And when what was I going to say? When in the improvisation scene where Will Ferrell was, like, asking her to be, like, her TV wife and stuff like that, she was acting like he didn't say the TV part, like, oh my god, you actually really like me, you want to marry me. I thought the movie was gonna go for like a kind of misunderstanding bit there, because at that point we weren't entirely sure how with it she was with the world. Like, she wouldn't understand how it works. Kind of like back when we watched Oz the Great and Powerful, how Mila Kunis didn't understand that James Franco's character's kind of throwaway-ish lines weren't trying to chain him to her, I guess you could say.
Yeah, that's true.
And yeah, the movie didn't go in that direction. It told us that, yeah, she knows how the world works. She's just trying to not use so much magic, and it's probably the first guy she's ever been with, so she's learning.
So, the big can of worms is about to enter the movie.
Are we going to cut to the Conan bit?
Conan?
Because of a certain other character that appears in that scene.
Yes, Aruba, but then again, perhaps I won't. So, yes, Conan O'Brien's in this, but he's not Can of Worms. The
I know.
Can of Worms we've mentioned is obviously Uncle Arthur.
Yep.
Okay. I don't know if the film didn't pay attention or I didn't pay attention. Is Uncle Arthur real?
Yeah, I struggle to understand what he is there. Could it possibly... the thing that really gets me is that Will Ferrell recognizes him.
Well, yeah, because he loves Uncle Arthur. That was his favourite character.
Yeah, but we've established that Uncle Arthur does not look like this man right here, right?
They look closer. He looks close enough to Uncle Arthur. I think that's why they cast Steve Carell. He really does kind of look like Paul Lynde. And he kind of does have the flamboyancy going on, but, he's not, obviously. The actor died. But yeah, he's supposed to be the actual Uncle Arthur.
Could it be that in this universe, the one person that was cast in the original Bewitched was the Uncle Arthur character? Like, he was actually a witch?
Yeah, Paul Lynde. Yeah,
Paul Lynde.
Well, here's the thing. Now, I don't know if this is true. My girlfriend said to me, oh, I thought they said in the movie that Iris cast a spell to bring the character of Uncle Arthur to life. I don't know if that's true. That's why I'm reading intensely the subtitles to see. But in my understanding, the character has manifested. I don't think it's the actor. He's wearing a fat suit. That's the thing that got me. You're from the TV show, right? So it's like, and he has blonde highlights. So, yeah, I don't know. So he's not real. He's not real. He's only temporarily real. So he is a spell, I think, because he's only temporarily real.
Right.
And he's the character of Uncle Arthur. Now, a fun fact in the trivia, I don't know if you saw this. Yeah, so he's even been, I've been in reruns, blah, blah, blah. He is the character of Uncle Arthur brought to life. Now, in the trivia, they had a fun thing, which was, they point out that Uncle Arthur's a bad driver.
Oh, yeah, like Paul Lynde played a
different character originally, who was like an anxious car driving teacher, and that's a smart little reference in there. I think that's very good. But that adds to the weirdness of Uncle Arthur. So Uncle Arthur but it doesn't actually say Iris cast a spell so far. So Iris is a witch, so he knows Iris is a witch. So I think that's why my girlfriend and now me believe that she cast a spell to bring the character of Uncle Arthur, his personal favourite character, to life to motivate him to get with the girl.
See, I just don't think Iris has that much of an impact on this movie, other than the fact that she makes Michael Caine's character realise how good love is.
I don't know.
Like, she does have that whole thing of, Isabel's not alone in this whole a witch trying to live in the world with humans. She can rely on, this mentor kind of character, but I don't know. I don't really think she does all too much in this movie.
Yeah, but Uncle Arthur does a lot, and he He's very confusing. I just want to know, is he real or not? So, like, he's only temporary. So there is no real Uncle Arthur character. This is like the TV show character. So Paul Lynde still exists in this timeline. Like, I don't know if he's dead by this point, the actual Paul Lynde, but if he bumped into Paul Lynde, the actor, would there be a double take? Like,
I don't know. I just kind
this is the real Inception. Uncle Arthur, the Inception.
My theory was like, oh, maybe Paul Lynde was secretly a witch all along and could shapeshift or something to look younger.
Wouldn't it be great wouldn't it be great if the original cast of Bewitched was this exact same situation where it was a witch and a real human and a real witch and all of them were all real witches except for Darren and any other human character?
Like every
time they do Bewitched, every person that's a magic character is actually in real life magic.
Yeah.
Oh, that's smart.
What if they do another one and
maybe that's why, for some reason... Oh, here's the thing, though. Magic just randomly happens in this movie. Like, I don't know. Like, okay, remember earlier, before Aunt Clara came, the little witch doll smiled?
Yeah,
and then Elizabeth Montgomery's photo, her eyes changed. Like, so whose magic is that? Or, well, at first you're supposed to take it as, oh, that's just Nicole Kidman looking at it to get inspired or be mischievous. But now, with Uncle Arthur being a physical manifestation that can be seen and exists, really the top witch at work in this movie.
Is it
Iris? Is it Michael Caine? Is it Nicole Kidman's mum?
Could it be like that witches, like, around them permeate some kind of magical atmosphere that makes the world interact with them as they want? Like, she didn't, like, consciously go, alright, Elizabeth, now, like, make your eyebrows sterner at me or something. Like, maybe, like, she looked at that photo and she thought, oh, I need motivation, and then, like, the magic atmosphere just was like, alright, I'll interact with this to motivate you or whatever. Like, obviously nothing in this movie, like, backs me up on that, but,
See, this is why it's one of the greatest films ever made. I mean, there's a lot of problems to the movie, but it strengthens the movie at the same time. See, we have just been sitting here asking a lot of questions, and the film doesn't necessarily give us all the answers to, but that is what true art is. Art is something that provokes thought and discussion. And this is art. It has provoked lots of discussion between Bartek and I imagine you as well, the listener, having watched the movie with us and us talking about it. It's a real head-scratcher, but not in a dumbfoundingly confusing way. I wouldn't say that when I walked out of this movie I was confused at what happened, but I was intrigued.
Yeah, same here. I mean, really, the center of the movie is the relation. Certainly more so after the Hex is retconned by the time travel. It's centered around the relationship between Isabel and Jack.
That's right. Yeah. That's I would say that's exactly right.
And it's a real relationship with real problems. Like, one of them has a thing about her that people would find abnormal, maybe scary, and she wants to come to terms with it in terms of not using it too much, and also telling her significant other that, hey, this is a thing about me that I think you really should know about, and I don't want you to freak out about it.
Here's something.
Yeah?
What is... I'm trying to think of the correct way to pose this question.
Mm-hmm.
Does the possibility of them having a kid, does that mean the kid will turn magical? Because in the TV show Bewitched, the kid is magic.
Mm-hmm.
But does that work in real life, in this universe?
Yeah, maybe, like, coincidentally does work the same way.
Or mudblood thing again?
Or maybe.
Wait, it's the cat.
Yeah, the cat.
The cat's doing all of this because the cat has randomly been in all of these poignant scenes. Could the cat be the real top?
It is
creature, like top person crafting all the stuff here. Because why is the cat here?
Yeah,
she brought it with her. But
does the cat have magic? Like, does it open the doors? Does it create the cat flaps?
Like, but like, is the cat influencing them? Because here's the thing too. According to Michael Caine, and what he says, witches can't detect magic and spells and hexes being used on them. They can't detect that because he doesn't know if he's been spellbound or cursed or is actually in love. And the cat is forever there in all of these majorly poignant moments for Nicole Kidman. Maybe the cat is influencing them with magic and they are unaware because in this universe,
maybe it's
magic...
off screen for some of the scenes where we don't see it.
Oh yeah, but like for the poignant scenes where she's deciding moral stuff, the cat is there. When she's at her house, when she's with her friends, so
it might be, yeah.
It's an interesting thing to postulate about this movie. Now, fun fact about the credits. They're all on the right-hand side of the screen. Were they like this for you, Bartek?
I'm pretty sure they were in the middle.
Well, mine are on the right. I think they were, but mine are all on the right side, leaving the left side completely blank. And usually with that, there's usually going to be like a piece of footage shown.
Yeah, something to look at.
Not at all. You know what happens?
What?
Font is massive. So you'll see in a sec. I think it may be legitimately like this. I don't know. But that was the cinematic classic masterpiece of magic captured on film, Bewitched, from 2005. Now, something before we start our reviews, I think needs to be said.
Yeah.
I don't think we praised it enough. I think Nicole Kidman was perfectly cast. I know that I said a bunch of stuff about her being crazy and schizophrenic and all that, but even if this movie didn't go the way it did and they actually did want to cast a modern-day Samantha, I think she was a perfect choice.
I would agree with that, yeah. I didn't see her crazy or schizophrenic atmosphere being like a bad thing at all.
No, but, just to highlight that Nicole Kidman, I do miss her presence, and, she's an Australian actress, so I appreciate her on another level for us being also based in Australia. And, I think she really does manage to carry this movie. As well as Will Ferrell, we just got talking about all the other big characters, but she really is the backbone of this movie, and she does a fantastic job, and I think, it needed to be mentioned.
Good protagonist.
Bartek, let's hear from you for review and a rating.
Well, just quickly, you asked me if they had a kid, what would happen there? Maybe the world of witches isn't so far from humans in that maybe there is a genetic thing going on. Like, maybe they'll pass on like a magic gene, or maybe they won't.
Magic, but like in the form of AIDS, so it's just going to spread all over the place.
Yeah, maybe it's
Oh man, I've got a serious case of magic.
Serious case of magic. Yeah, like there's a chance that you will inherit the magic genes. There's a chance that you will have them, but you won't be magic, or there's a chance that you won't have them at all, so your kids won't have them either. Alright, so final thoughts on the movie. I definitely liked it a lot. Certainly of the romantic comedy, it's up there. And even for the romantic comedy movies out there, definitely out there in the top part of the list. Will Ferrell, we see Will Ferrell in a specific way when we think about him. And Starsky and Hutch was definitely one of the examples where we saw his more crazy side.
His talent.
And that one, he didn't necessarily go as crazy as other ones. It was just his character's values and his
motivations
and and how much he really wanted to sell that this is his value. His obsession with dragons.
Okay, stop. I'm thinking about it now. Go.
Okay, but we do see him in more serious roles. Like, as funny as his Lego character was in the Lego movie, his portrayal as the dad in that movie was very serious and very touching. We see good sides to Will Ferrell in many of these movies. Like, you even mentioned earlier that even though he's a man-child in a lot of these movies, he does command a certain air of realism in terms of when he's upset in movies, even though he shows it in kind of silly ways, you do buy that he's upset and you do kind of root for him. You want him to get better. Nicole Kidman, I'm not as familiar with as Will Ferrell, but certainly from seeing her in many movies like Stepford Wives and this one, you could definitely tell that she does a great job acting, and even the Wikipedia page just praises her a lot for it. She went to the Victorian Centre of the Arts in Melbourne, I think, when she was acting. And the side characters in this movie are all pretty great. Like, even though I mentioned that I didn't think the Iris had much of a part in this movie, not much significance, I really liked her, especially in the scene where they were filming her character Endora's debut.
She kept, like, bowing.
She kept bowing, and I can see what you mean by you thinking that, like, she's just this kind of, not so much crazy, but because eccentric, kooky character who just, like, goes with the flow and, like, doesn't really react to things. Certainly when you mentioned that, like, her actually doing magic freaked you out, I was like, oh, okay, I can now see where you're going, because when you first mentioned it, I thought you were a bit crazy. And the dad, I feel like they could have used a bit more of his apprehension to the whole idea of her being in Bewitched, because he has that line that's not sacrilege. What was the word he used?
I can't remember. It's like, yeah, embarrassing culture.
Basically, sort of like racism to his culture,
heresy and all that.
Yeah, heresy. I thought I could have liked to have seen a little bit more of that, but as we've definitely established in this episode, this movie really, more than any movie that I can think of, has the audience asking for more.
That is true. Your rating?
Yes. So if I have to give this movie a rating, and I have not thought about this at all,
don't worry,
I would have to give this movie a half-naked genie out of a broomstick. Boy, oh boy! Boy, oh boy! Man, oh man of La Mancha!
I'll give you my rating now.
Rating already?
Rating from the start. No, I'll give you my review. This movie, before watching it, I asked basically the one real question. I went in a roundabout way of saying it, but what I really was asking was, what is this?
Mm-hmm.
What is this? Because with remakes, reimaginings, and revamps, there's that question of, well, what is it? Is it a remake? Is it a reboot? Like, it's so hard to tell, especially even now in our culture now, where it's way more prominent and the line is just blurry. You can't tell anymore. This movie, now having watched it, I know what it is. It is beautiful. It is glorious. It is imaginative. It is art. And possibly one of the best films ever made. And it is an unappreciated masterpiece. This film brings up many questions. But the real important thing is that it brings up many emotions. From joy to sadness to anger to frustration, back and forth between those and various things in between. This film really is something to behold. It is something to remind you about why films are made. What I like about this is that it does have the behind the scenes of the making of the TV show. Instead of just going the typical way of just redoing the TV show in a 90-minute whatever timeline of a movie format, this goes into the behind the scenes, and instead of doing it just your typical Hollywood conventional way, they do it in a different way. And I think that and the talent involved really carry this along, making it different yet similar to the much loved Bewitched.
Yeah, it's an interesting way of doing a tribute. Like we mentioned with Starsky and Hutch, and I guess you could also say with 21 Jump Street, they did just make the thing again, but differently.
In joke, like, get it? This is different to the original, and we're not the original. But you know that has its place. But this takes imagination on another level.
It feels more loving to the original.
There's Starsky and Hutch was very loving too, but it's different degrees of love.
Yeah.
If I had to give it a rating, it's very hard. A lot of the time I give these things kind of a jokey rating, Mm-hmm. But for this one, I'm feeling really, really drawn and tender to the film. Giving it a joke kind of rating just doesn't seem appropriate. But at the same time, this movie is a comedy, and I will have to give it I would have to give it 5 Will Ferrell man-childs out of 5.
Right, that's good.
So, a lot of people had a lot of things to say about this film.
I'm curious.
Now, I will be honest, most of it was negative.
Yeah.
it was very hard to find any positive reviews. This time round, there are fewer reviews than normal. Because of that reasoning of there was just so many negatives. But the last review, you will find the reasoning of why I needed not to pick any more than 4.
Okay. Are they from another dimension, Ryan? Or are these more...
These are from another field of education.
Okay.
You're supposed to do the last one. We'll get there.
Okay.
10 stars. This was written in 2005, and it's called Not, in capitals, Not as bad as been led to believes.
Okay.
Okay. Now, sometimes I'll be raising my voice to indicate that they put this in all caps.
Okay.
Because sometimes they do.
Yeah.
When you go to see a sitcom made to a full-length motion picture, you go in expecting to see certain things. Almost all of the people involved in the television show are dead now, but I think all of them would have approved of this. What is the plot? Simple. That's the end of the sentence.
Okay.
What is the plot? Simple. Nicole Kidman plays Isabella, a real witch who wants to leave that behind to be like a mortal. She's cast in the role, they spell role as in R-O-L-L,
Like rolling.
of Samantha in a remake of the TV show. It is goofy and silly and nonsensical in places, but so was the TV show! Shirley MC, that's Shirley MacLaine,
Yep.
is great as the actress who was a grand actress in the past, but placed in a sitcom that doesn't really showcase her talent. Do not expect anything complicated from this. I enjoyed it for what it is. It's light fun. My main criteria for liking a movie is, do I think I got my money's worth? And I was anxious for it to end. Yes and no. Many of the performances are great. At times, Nicole Kidman looks just like Liz Montgomery, and there are plenty of still of Liz and video of her to compare during this film. Michael Caine was excellent, and Steve Carell is spot on as Uncle Arthur. I mean, spot on! I grew up watching this and was anxious to see if they harmed its memory. They did not. Do not expect a message. Go to laugh a lot and be charmed, and you'll have fun.
Okay.
Next one, 2006. 10 stars. Brilliant, underrated movie. This is a movie that so many people hated, but if you're prepared to go with the multi-layered fantasy, you might just love it. It's like a love letter to the original Bewitched TV series, which is why Aunt Clara and Uncle Arthur are there, and why there are so many in-jokes that you won't get if you haven't watched much of the series. If you have, however, you'll get it. The film feels at times as fluffy as a musical comedy. Indeed, it has visual references to several, and at other times like a screwball or sitcom. Generically confusing, therefore, it's generically confusing, therefore, but that's part of the fun. Why have a boring linear narrative in a singular genre when you can do anything you want to? Lots of analogies between the magic of film and movie-going and witchcraft itself. Also, no patriarchal nonsense about women having to give up their powers, as with so many witch movies. This is a bubbly, not entirely consistent roller coaster ride. Give it a try. You might like it.
I do like how it pointed out that, like, filmmakers, you can do whatever you want to, so why have problems and stuff, but, yeah, okay.
Okay, this one's a bit of a long one, but it's worth it.
Alright.
8 stars. 2010, so a slightly newer review. Nicole Kidman has bewitched me. Now, this review may contain spoilers.
Oh.
Nicole Kidman has bewitched me. Smiley face. Oh, shut up. I know it's lame, but I had to say that. I love Nicole Kidman. She is such a talented actress and so extraordinarily beautiful. I have never seen her in a comedy before, but she does amazing drama movies. Before I completely lost my mind for Kristen Stewart, I was in love with Nicole Kidman, and then this is all in brackets. Well, Kristen was very young when I began to like her, only a year difference, and when you are a teenage kid, you tend to have a crush with the older girls. And brackets. The characters she played here could have easily gone into complete airhead or ditz and could have been annoying, but she carries it off with so much grace. Most of the time, Will Ferrell can carry off 15-minute skits, but not an entire movie all by himself. Thankfully, he does carry it off hilariously here, and the credit must go to the director, Nora Ephron, who has directed Julie and Julia, Sleepless in Seattle, and the writer of When Harry Met Sally. This was a really entertaining movie, which had me sad for Nicole Kidman's character. I normally don't have tears in my eyes while watching a chick flick, but this film made me that sad for Nicole's character.
Chick flick?
Isabella Bigelow / Samantha Nicole Kidman is a witch who has recently promised herself not to do magic anymore and wants to live a normal life. Make a pathetic guy fall in love with her and just enjoy the little things in life. Is that her goal? I guess. Okay, back to the review.
It was a motivation she had at the start.
I don't think she said pathetic.
But it wasn't like so self-centered.
Okay, so enjoy the little things in life. She's quite funny and joyful and lives life as she wants. But they just have a slash there.
Okay.
But she finds out that living without magic isn't as easy and now again bends her promise. Jack White / Darren, Will Ferrell, is a famous movie star whose recent films have tanked at the box office, and he is now trying to regain his popularity by remaking an old TV hit, Bewitched, with an unknown actress who has the magical nose. He spots Isabella at a cafe and begs her to join his TV show, and she in turn falls for him. He is in fact a conceited, prideful, and ignorant man and wants his character to outshine Isabella's in every episode of the show. Nigel Bigelow, Michael Caine, her father, doesn't approve of her style of living and wants her to revert to her old self. He is kind of a playboy, but when he meets Endora, Shirley MacLaine, an old lady who is a famous star of yesteryears, he falls for her. Will Isabella have the life she always wanted, or will she be left heartbroken? Steve Carell as Uncle Arthur does an amazing cameo in the climax, which is downright hilarious. As I've already told, Nicole Kidman is one funny girl in this movie. I was pulled in by her very endearing performance. The things she does with her nose is so cute, and I loved it. I just love that. The thing she does with the nose is so cute, and I loved it. That was in the original TV show. Okay. Michael Caine and Shirley MacLaine. What a rhyming name. Michael Caine and Shirley MacLaine were also good. I liked how she kept a secret till the end. The time reversal scene was very enjoyable. The screenplay is also entertaining, and I liked how it made fun of itself and the Hollywood actors who think they are above others because they are so popular. Because of Nicole Kidman and Will Ferrell's acting, Nora Ephron's sweet direction,
Ooh.
This movie will endear you very much. Go on, give it a try. 8 out of 10.
It's a good extended synopsis.
Now, it was more than just that. It was a heartfelt review.
It was. That's definitely.
Now, I'm just preparing myself because this next one is the last one, and
I've been waiting for it. Yeah.
It's not a review. It's a thesis, I would say. It's not a review, but more of a thesis. I would attest it to.
Okay.
It has no title.
Is it long?
It is long.
Okay.
It is 8 stars, written in 2008. The review may contain spoilers. Big spoilers in this comment. You may wish to see the film first, despite most of the reactions posted. So that's just a little warning there for you.
Okay.
Tiptoeing through this movie's sight calls to mind images oh God. Images from Cole Porter's song Miss Otis Regrets. When the mob hauls the heroine from jail to the hanging tree, such a demure victim, such a violent, wrathful crowd. However, let me take a whirl at defending Bewitched. I love that. Let me take a whirl at it. Okay.
Go for it, man.
This is a clever variation on classic TV. This clever variation on classic TV delighted me. No, it's not Clueless, or Shakespeare in Love, or the Jane Austen Book Club, all of which run changes on genius. Yet Bewitched does provide talented actors with a slyly subtle script. Set down your rope and torches for just a little while and let's explore the film a bit. Perhaps we can uncover an inner structure worth watching. This is great. Creative guy number 1 on page 10 of this site coherently remarks... Oh, fuck.
Does he refer to the reviews you read?
No, I don't know. But they've got references in their essay.
Oh, okay.
Coherently remarks, if the original Bewitched was nothing else, it was logical within its own set of established rules. That's the end of the quote. I hold that Nora and Delia Epron followed a strict logic proceeding from a premise perhaps not instantly obvious to casual viewers. The initial question I believe we should ask: did Aunt Clara exist in the witch Isabel's life before she accepted the role of Samantha? I'm thinking Aunt Clara didn't. Notice she never interacts with Nigel. She only drops down the chimney into Isabella's living room because the Nicole Kidman witch has taken on the part of Samantha Stevens. Isabella's own existence has begun to merge with that of the television character she's reprising. The subtext of the script involves how television influences our personalities. Of our personal realities, The original Bewitched television show provides a template which reshapes the lives of those in contact with the remake, Jack and Isabel foremost. Once the show starts dominating the young witch's consciousness, Aunt Clara can appear when needed. A figure from the 1960s series Isabella has studied, not from her actual prior life. Isabel accepts a television character into her home as family and fails to notice that anything's odd about that. I'm thinking that the show Buffy the Vampire Slayer pulled a similar intersection of an previously unknown personage when Buffy's little sister, a demon in disguise, suddenly showed up. Everyone in the cast acted as if she'd been there all along. That's just like a little note that they put down. The Epron sisters offer a nice observation here on the mass media culture. Face it, our society does tell us to treat imaginary folks from The West Wing or The Sopranos or Seinfelds as friend or even kinfolk. We don't blink at caring seriously about the lives of fictional people. As a further demonstration of TV's effects on human beings, Uncle Arthur manifests to pep talk Jack. He's the original small-screen Uncle Arthur who Jack has cherished in his mind all these years. Jack saw and internalized the series. Now the character he liked best steps from his dreams into an objective reality to help him out. How many television role models do you carry inside as ideals of wisdom and behavior, sources of advice and aid? Do you ever ask how Spock or MacGyver would handle a situation you face? Of course you do. The Eperons know we do this. Significantly, Uncle Arthur drives Jack to the couple's special place, the completely unreal soundstage Stephen's house. Their special spot, scene of a date referencing Singing in the Rain, exists in a television studio reality. That's where Isabel feels at home, acting a role someone else created. Many commentators have found little chemistry between Jack and Isabel characters, not Will and Nicole, but the egomaniac and the innocent they're playing. Maybe so, maybe not, but under the influence of Bewitched TV template, both evolve before our eyes to wind up as truly remade for one another, as compatible as the original Darren and Samantha. That's magic. As the film starts, each has a disappointing, unfulfilled life. I'd say that the Kravitzes do not illogically pop from nowhere at the end to live across the street from Isabel and Jack. They're brought there to illustrate how the pair has become transformed by the characters Elizabeth Montgomery and Dick York originated. The dynamics of the classic TV show have almost totally replaced the unsatisfactory realities Isabel and Jack each occupy at the beginning of the film. Does Shirley MacLaine's Iris obsess Michael Caine's Nigel due to her superior witchcraft? Or does the web the revived show weaves draw him into the romantic absorption he's habitually fought against using casual self-gratification and cynical wit? Remember, he wouldn't let Isabel watch Bewitched as a child, yet that program didn't merely make fun of magic users trying to solve sitcom problems. It essentially celebrated the power of love to bridge barriers and have the final word once all the spells had been spoken. The Eperons picture has a texture as light as a feather. By contrast, Charlie Kaufman used a meat axe to carve out adaptation. With its bold sequences of art intersecting life, Dark City sinisterly developed the idea that personal realities can shift beyond our control. However much Bewitched the movie may look like fluff floating on the wind, it affectionately and shrewdly makes substantial points about society modeled perhaps very much for the better by TV and mass entertainment. After all, the Eperon sisters know intimately how reality crossbreeds with art. Their parents, Henry and Phoebe, strip mined their eldest daughter's life while she was living it to yield 2 plays and a movie. I saw Take Her, She's Mine, not knowing that Sandra Dee played a character based on Nora's college student days. I'm wondering how the feedback of seeing her transformed into a role, a forthright but naive young woman slowly shedding an over-affectionate father, her real existence, you might say. Perhaps she just told us. And that's it.
Oh, it just ends?
Yeah, basically saying this movie just told us about this woman's overprotective, affectionate, real-life father. My favourite part of that review was everything. I mean, it wasn't a review, it was a thesis. I mean, she had references.
Yeah.
This person, I don't know. It had references, Bartek. I mean, she referenced someone. He's like, this person on page 10 of this website in this video.
See, I can't even make the joke that, like, she accidentally submitted a university assignment because she talks about the website.
Well, is there anything we need to say anymore? I mean, really, why did we even do this episode? I mean, we should have just posted this on the website, said, well, that's Bewitched summed up for you. I mean,
it almost sounded like that person listened to this episode
Before we made it.
before I made it, specifically the part where I talked about the like magic atmosphere influencing them, and just took it in a completely different direction.
So,
The only thing
does that affect you now, how you perceive the world that we had just questioned, that in fact it is them becoming the TV show for realsies?
I just think it's kind of like great minds think alike, except that person wrote a thesis, and we just made an episode of our podcast.
Well, I guess ours is called a thesis too, huh?
The only thing left to talk about, I suppose, is that cat licking itself.
No.
No? Oh.
So, you guys have been fantastic, amazing, wonderful listening people, as usual, and I think we've been pretty good, considering that this is a cinematic classic, and we were by ourselves for this one. Usually we have a guest, but as I mentioned, the guest couldn't come because of witchcraft.
Yes.
As I usually say at the end of this, you should check out our content and our sites. Spit and Polish Presents. It's on Facebook, it's on Podbean, it's on iTunes. It's all there. But the main thing that really matters to us is hearing from you, feedback, and maybe suggestions as well. Because, hey, we can't do every movie. Neither of us had seen Bewitched, the film, before doing it, and maybe you're sitting there wondering, hey, when are they going to do this movie? And we may never do it because we may not even know about it. You need to tell us. That's how it works. I mean, we're going to keep doing movies, but hey, you need to tell us if there's one that we need to check out, because we may not be aware of it, and you may change our lives instead of us changing yours.
We want information.
Yes, exactly. Like most generals in war, we want information. We want information to fuel our media wars. So, you guys, as always, be kind to each other.
See, the joke is that's the
Shit.
Yeah, that's the joke.
I thought it was the theme to Starsky and Hutch.